Okay, let's go ahead and call this meeting to order. Wow. Got to work on the microphone already. With this, let's do a prayer and a pledge of allegiance. We start every session off with. If you don't mind. Thank you, sir. Heavenly Father, as we gather here today for this Planning Commission meeting, we humbly ask for your guidance and wisdom in our deliberations. Grant us discernment to see the needs of the community clearly and the foresight to make decisions that promote responsible development while honoring the character of our county. May our discussions be respectful, thoughtful, and focused on the greater good. Help us to listen attentively to all perspectives, weigh options with fairness, and ultimately choose what is best for the future of our community. We thank you for your presence here today with us and ask you to bless our work today. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So go ahead and give us a roll call vote.
Roll call. Diana Edstrom, Dan McCallan, Kyle DiNardo, Nicole Hunt, here. John Gresham, Dee Dee Schott-Grace, Robert Politic, here. Kevin Kirkwood.
Present.
Chairman, you have a quorum.
Thank you. If you don't mind, please make sure your cell phones are turned off. I know I have mine on vibrate, so please keep them quiet if you don't mind. Do we have a staff report?
Yes, sir. The last Board of County Commissioners meeting was held on the 13th of August. At that meeting, they did ratify the list of the steering committee members for the comprehensive plan project. 2 of the planning commissioners are included on that list, Commissioner Hunt and Commissioner Kirkwood, so I just wanted to remind the group of that. And then moving forward, if the commission is okay with it, I will add an item to the agenda for updates for you all to be able to discuss that and update your full commission on the steering committee and the comp plan project as a whole.
Please, thank you. Appreciate that.
And then, I'm sorry, in addition, one other thing, the board also approved a code of conduct for county boards and commissions, and so a paper copy of that has been provided to all of you. There is a signature sheet at the end, and so I can either pick those up at the end of the meeting, or you all can email it to us or something like that.
I'd like to extend the meeting, if we finish early, by 10-15 minutes, so we can go through those, if you don't mind.
Of course.
And that way we at least have a common ground on that. I did notice one thing with the comprehensive steering committee. The original plan was to have 15 members, and we now have 16 members. How was that added to that plan?
It was a decision by the board. The board appointed each of the members, and they agreed to add a 16th member.
Who got the extra member?
Chairman McDaniel.
Okay, fair enough. Tonight's meeting, we are going to go ahead and flip the script a little bit, just so everybody's aware. We will be doing the Coyote Ridge PUD first, and then we will be doing the Prairie Rock Ranch Rezone second, if you don't mind. Give the folks from Coyote Ridge a little chance to catch up since we did delay them in the last meeting. So with that, I'd like to open the floor for citizen comments. And these comments today, or at this point, are for only those elements that are not pertaining to any of the matters before us today. So if you have a comment, would like to take a minute and speak, or 3 minutes, 5 minutes to speak, please step forward. I don't see a mass migration to the microphone, so I think we're good. Did everybody get a chance to read the meeting minutes?
There we go. Hi. Hey, Wendy, the commissioners present, I think we missed John. Number 3. You're welcome.
Yes, thank you.
Fantastic. Any other comments? Any other questions? Any other concerns? Then I will hear a motion to accept the meeting minutes as amended.
I move that we accept the meeting minutes as amended.
And second? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? There we have it. Thank you very much. At this point, we're going to hold a public hearing process. It's kind of unique tonight because we are going to start with a continuance from an earlier meeting where we did not complete the hearing with Coyote Ridge PUD. And so we won't be following the normal process, but we will be saying that on this first part, we will be looking at this from a quasi-judicial perspective. We are asking this planning commission to find facts, base its decision on the application and adopted regulation standards, criteria, and the competent, substantial, and material evidence received during this meeting. Best way to describe that is we are going to judge the case in front of us, not the PUD. With that being said, I would like for the planning director to give us a quick recap from the last session.
Okay. Yes, sir. Coyote Ridge PUD continued from July 1st. I will do my best to be quite quick and just focus on any additional changes or updates that have been made, and just as provide some context for those who might not have been here or remember the details from July. So quick project summary, the site location is at the northeast corner of County Road 13 and County Road 178. It's about 112 acres, currently zoned ag, and proposed to be zoned PUD, planned unit development. A reminder about the PUD zoning that's being proposed. The zoning, a PUD, or zoning in general, it sets allowable land uses, and the PUD determines development standards. It does not create any lots, roads, or allow for building permits to be pulled at this time. So there will be additional processes coming forward before you all. A preliminary plat and final plat are required, as well as construction plans that are reviewed and approved by engineering, and a subdivision improvement agreement. So those are all future steps. So just as a reminder that this is the zoning only. You would likely see this again in the future if it is approved. Quickly, where we are, there's the entire county, easy to see. This property is located up in the northwest corner. We'll zoom in a little bit. It is highlighted in that teal square. Again, as mentioned, it is currently zoned ag. It's located directly north of a portion of Spring Valley PUD, and you can see that there are a variety of zoning districts in the general area, including agricultural, residential, residential agriculture, residential agriculture 1 and 2, as well as other PUDs. Zooming in even closer, this is actually the subject site, 112 acres, located again at that northeast corner. And to be a little bit more clear and precise, the 4 properties that are directly north of the subject site, those are all under the same ownership. As discussed at the last hearing, there were some tweaking of lot lines and clearing up of deeds. That has all been completed, and all the documents currently reflect that. The subject site is a single, about 112-acre parcel. These properties to the north are not a part of this application, but I did want to note to you that they are the same property owner, and the applicant did discuss them at the last hearing. And then just to provide a little additional context, I mentioned Spring Valley is located directly to the south. It's about a half mile, almost exactly, from this subject site to Kingston Crest Trail, which is that northernmost road into this portion of Spring Valley. Here is a site photo of the subject property, taken today, actually, to give you an idea of how it currently looks. It is vacant and undeveloped. Looking south down County Road 13, these rooftops right here are that Spring Valley neighborhood that we mentioned, and this is what that neighborhood looks like. So there was some discussion at the last meeting about other projects in the vicinity, so I just wanted to highlight that. As we've discussed, this is a residential PUD. It would include up to 237 dwelling units. Those are located through 4 residential planning areas. There are 6 planning areas in total. The proposed residential uses are single-family detached and single-family attached, and the PUD does include about 48 acres of open space. This colored rendering is essentially the bubble map. That's part of the PUD exhibit that illustrates the land uses within the 112 acres, including a perimeter road at the north of the 4 residential planning areas, park space, detention ponds, and the open space along the perimeters. In particular, on the east and west sides where there is floodplain property. The PUD exhibit itself includes 7 sheets. I'll go through each of those very quickly. The cover sheet, the rezone exhibit, the graphic that we just looked at, and then the actual details of the development guide. As mentioned, the development guide is what sets the standards for the PUD. That includes things like the setbacks, the allowable uses, any required design elements, lot sizes, details for the private roadways and architectural requirements. It gets as specific as things like landscaping requirements and the parks and open space included within the PUD. So the cover sheet, I wanted to highlight on this sheet that, as noted here, the project description has been updated with the most current deeds that have been recorded with the county and are reflected through the assessor's site. And so that is reflective of the single 112-acre parcel. Similarly, on sheet 2, the subject property, that information has been updated, as well as those lot sizes that have been tweaked for the properties to the north, and there was actually even a correction made to this adjacent property owner to the east. So those things that are highlighted have been updated since the original July hearing. The next sheet is that bubble graphic. We looked at a colored version that was a little bit easier to see. And then we have the development standards for the remainder of the PUD exhibit. So as a part of the PUD, a little bit about the infrastructure. The roadways within the Coyote Ridge project would all be private, which means they're not maintained by the county, but they would be built to county standards and inspected by the county. A traffic study was provided, and it was reviewed by the county engineer. This is only the zoning step of the phase, as mentioned, and so much more detail and engineering would come forth with preliminary and final plats moving forward. Water and wastewater for the project would be provided by the Spring Valley Metro District. They, as noted, that is located directly to the south, and the Metro District has been in contact and working with the applicants. We've talked about the timeline a little bit. The public notice for this Planning Commission meeting was met as required. the project review. All of these agencies did review the project. Added to tonight's packet was a matrix that we had discussed, which sort of outlines where in the process certain comments were provided and if additional revisions or submittals were required. And so that kind of just is intended just to help provide a little bit of understanding about where things sometimes get held up. Right, on this particular project, the Department of Water Resources reviewed this 4 different times and provided comments. Same with Public Works. And so you can see when we get to the green, that's where we like to be, where there are no additional outstanding comments and projects can move forward for your review. There was one public comment received this week on this project. I did pass out that. It was after the packet had already been posted, so you do have that for your review. A little bit about the comp plan. This is discussed in the staff report, but there are a couple of goals and policies that relate to this type of proposal. And the review criteria, just very quickly, the review criteria for this proposed PUD, generally consistent with the comprehensive plan, whether or not it's compatible with surrounding land uses, whether there's an impact on public services or the environment, whether there's unreasonable traffic congestion, and whether the proposal would be otherwise detrimental to the health, safety, or welfare of Elbert County. A couple considerations for the Planning Commission. As noted, the surrounding zonings include a variety of zonings, including ag, PUD, agricultural, residential, and those others that we looked at on the zoning map. The details of the PUD, all of those pages of development standards that we looked at, those only apply to the properties within the boundaries of the PUD, so this is not changing anything else, and these would be standards only for, again, the properties within this boundary. And additional details, final engineering, would come forward with plating. All of those final details aren't done at time of zoning. As noted, preliminary and final plat process would be required. Those do come before you all as well as the board. Private roads would be included in this. Those are not maintained by the county, but they are built to county standards. And the proposed density for the project is 2.1 dwelling units per acre. I don't have to go through all the potential conditions of approval. They're standard conditions. There is number 4, which is a request by the Douglas County School District that there just be a note added to memorialize the requirement for a cash in lieu payment. That is more specifically,
Actually,
yes,
Director, if you don't mind, go ahead and walk through 1 through
the conditions of approval.
all of them, please.
Sure. So the potential conditions of approval, should the Planning Commission decide to include them, would be 1, 2, and 3 are standard conditions to remove any public hearing signs, that the PUD is not effective until any fees are paid, conditions of approval are met, and the exhibit and guide are recorded. And that recordation must occur within 180 days of the board approval. Number 4 is a request by the Douglas County School District that a note be added to the PUD exhibit, which memorializes the requirement for a cash in lieu payment to the school district prior to recordation of the final plat. And it would be up to the commission if you all wanted to include that or not. It was requested by the school district, but again, it's more closely related to the final plat than to this zoning. And then number 5, a condition that we like to add, that if any minor corrections or revisions are necessary, that those can be done to the satisfaction of staff before it is recorded. We have found typos before, so we'd like to be able to get those fixed. That was a very quick overview. Staff is available to answer any questions, get into any additional details. The applicant is also present if you all would like them to speak or present or answer questions.
Thank you, Director. Appreciate that. As we're looking at this, I need to ask this lady right here, were you planning on speaking on the Coyote Ridge PUD, or were you planning on speaking on the Coyote or the Prairie Rock Ranch rezone? Okay. Anybody else sign up to speak on behalf of the, or on behalf or against Coyote Ridge? Okay, just asking the question because we did receive a public comment after we had already closed public comment. So if y'all were here to speak on the Coyote Ridge, wanted to give you the opportunity. And we need to make a decision on the board whether we should include this in the board packet because we had already closed the public comments piece of the puzzle for Coyote Ridge. So I'll leave it as something that the board can consider, or the Planning Commission can consider in their recommendation and their judgment for the case.
Ms. Diana Edstrom, I think we should include it. It is only one. It's not like it's going to be a huge deal, but I think the public comment's important.
I believe it's important as well, but we are also setting a precedent to allow comments after we had already closed.
What did we do with the last continuances? Do you remember?
We had gotten all the way through public comment. We had come to the board-only discussion, and that's when we got stuck on the idea that the documentation was not complete.
Okay. Well, in that case, I'd love to see it included, but I think we need to stick with the proper procedure, which is public comment is closed.
I would agree. Somebody else.
Because the meeting was continued and we've allowed the staff to re-present their presentation, and then we also asked if anyone else here was here to speak on behalf of this land use application, and we now have this document, it would seem to me that we've made exceptions in other ways because the project was continued, that I'd rather err on the side of having more public disclosure than less, and I'd prefer that we keep this in and take it into consideration.
Let me just throw one more thing out. So if the board as a whole decided not to include it, could this still be read into the record? Because it is still a hearing, and this person isn't here to speak. What is the procedure if we get emails?
Yeah, I think technically we make the decision on what we want to include in this. I'm okay with us including it if we agree as a group to include it. So, anybody opposed to including this document? Yeah. Anybody opposed?
Just a quick question. So the continuance was based upon improving the application made forth to us, not necessarily changing any of the, if you want to say, public perception of the project itself. So would that be a consideration for not including it because it was public comment was closed, but the continuance was based upon improving the documentation for the application?
Again, I think it's just a matter of we can make the decision on whether we believe it should be included or not. I haven't heard any opposition to it, so I think we go ahead and register it as included. So thank you. With that note, before we continue on with the board-only discussion, has the documentation been reviewed by the Planning Commission, and are we continuing to miss any documents that are required to make a decision? Planning Commission made the call, and I want the Planning Commission to own the idea that the documentation is complete, or not.
I don't think. Could you rephrase it one more time, please?
Sure. Does the Planning Commission believe that the documentation provided by CDS staff is complete?
Diana Edstrom, absolutely not. No.
Okay. Any others?
I supported continuing the motion last time, and I think some of the issues at stake were confusion over which land titles were which and which got changed over. So I'm glad to see that that was updated. I'm okay moving forward with the documentation that we have now, though I do believe that it's probably not all been disclosed to us. I think the application is probably complete in staff hands, but it hasn't all been disclosed to us.
I'm comfortable with the documentation as presented. I believe we're ready to move forward with the case, so I would like us to continue at this level, and I would like to start with young Mr. McCollum down here at the end, and any questions for the folks from Coyote Ridge or for staff. Okay, thank you. Kyle?
Yeah, this question's been asked multiple times. It's for staff. How many homes in the pipeline do we have right now? Ready for construction? Doesn't need to be exact. I know you don't have it.
So it depends on how we define that. I know that there are a number of rumors floating around out there. I've heard a number like 9,000 float around. I would like to clarify what that means. The 9,000 number is related to zoning entitlements only. That number has not been platted. The number of actually platted lots, which is what is required to pull a building permit, right, is much, much lower. I don't have that exact number, but I can assure you that the entitlement is significantly, many times higher than what has been platted. Platted lots we can actually see through the assessor's site. Those are actually drawn, ready to go.
All right, that's all the questions I had.
Do you have a ballpark? Platted.
Platted but not built. I could follow up with that. I believe we have done that research, but I'd hate to give you an inaccurate number because I haven't looked at it in the last 48 hours.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you. Robert?
No questions.
Okay, Nicole?
Hey there, I do have some questions. One question I have actually relates to the public comment that was delivered to us when we walked in. And one part in particular, I'll just read out loud for the applicant, and I'd love to hear the applicant's response. It does say that this individual says, I'm surprised that the proposal is on the agenda for August 19th, as there's been no public notice sign up on the property for many weeks. The sign was removed sometime in July, after the first time this project came before you, on July 1st. So I wanted to follow up first to ask the applicant, did you all remove the signs after the meeting was continued?
Is this on? Okay. Hi, I'm Julie Gamick. I'm with THK Associates. Thank you for having us again this evening. So yes, the sign was removed after the Planning Commission meeting on June the 10th. So we are working with staff in order to re-notify for the BOCC meeting, but we have met all of the compliance for tonight's meeting.
Thank you. Wendy, there's no video.
It's showing live here.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Continue if you don't mind.
So then staff, please correct me if I'm wrong, but I do believe that our zoning regulations state that those signs should stay up. Even if the hearing is continued, it stays up until the hearing has been held. Can you please verify if that's correct?
Sure. So the regulations discuss the hearing signs when they need to go up, right?
If you
14
can
days.
pull up the picture that you supplied earlier, you'll see that the signs are no longer up.
Correct. The signs are not up today. Correct. But they were up in the required time frame before the noticed hearing on July 1st. The regulations do not say that if a hearing is continued, they don't say anything about if the hearing is continued that they have to stay up. They typically are not updated.
Yes, I do know that they're typically not updated, but when there hasn't actually been conclusion of a land use application, those signs would generally stay up. Otherwise, why would we have a condition of approval be that the applicant shall remove signs within 2 weeks of the conclusion of all notified meetings, public hearings, or decisions.
Yes. So they typically have both hearing dates, right? And so they would typically stay up until after the BOCC date. However, because the hearing was continued at the noticed meeting and it was continued to a date certain, no additional public notice is required. So,
But the signs would normally stay up. Like in general practice, if we're talking about any other land use application, whenever those land use applications are continued, the notice signs on the physical property stay up until the conclusion of those meetings, but for which there's been notice posted. That's how it's normally done, correct?
they typically stay up, but it doesn't say that they're required to. Correct.
Okay. So that's one thing. I mean, I personally believe that those should have stayed up. That's part of the due process for not just the applicants, but also for the citizens, for the folks who are in the neighborhood. Is there a reason why you all took them down? I'm guessing if you'd asked county staff, they probably would have recommended that you keep it up. Is there a reason why y'all chose to take it down?
It came down, I see your point, I'm not arguing the point, but yes, we took it down on the 10th of July.
Well, and just so everyone knows as we're having the discussion, not only is the Planning Commission meeting date on there, but so is the BOCC meeting date. So it's not just a matter of, taking it down as soon as our meeting's over. Generally, you would wait until the BOCC finally gets to see it. Even if you aren't giving an update, those signs stay up because they serve as a notice to the community.
And as I responded originally, we met all of the notice requirements for this meeting, and we're working with staff to re-notify for the BOCC. So we recognize that there is a desire by the community and by staff to make sure that we are notifying people appropriately and with enough time to respond to our application.
Okay, thank you. Had a couple of other comments and questions. One is I wanted us to just take a few minutes to talk about the exhibit. I guess there was a document that was a response to Planning Commission questions. And I wanted to make sure that applicant knew, as I was looking at some of the numbers on that list, you cite some of the other PUDs in the area and how many homes those PUDs will have as built out, I guess you could say entitled homes, maybe not actually built yet. But I wanted to point out, as I was looking at some of those, in particular, I was looking at the independence numbers, and it showed around the 940, 950, and wanted to alert everyone that actually is 1,400. So that number was a little less than what has actually been approved. Wanted to take a second just to talk about, I know it came up during our last conversation, but wanted to just take a minute to give some feedback in that response packet. I believe that there was some more discussion about the different aesthetics for the homes, because there was a variety of different options, and we spent a little bit of time talking about that. I think like 8 different styles were what we were looking at. But I wanted to take a minute just to reflect some of the language that y'all used in describing kind of your take on that approach, was that it was a more diverse aesthetic that was supposed to lend more of an eclectic nature of Elbert County's existing residential visual. And I just think it's important maybe to have a conversation that I actually think that there is more of a country look and feel to a lot of Elbert County homes. And it's things I've heard the actual Board of County Commissioners talk about before, like those wraparound porches and the old country feel to a house. So I think those are things that actually a lot of our folks in our community appreciate, and I think they would call it less eclectic and more of like a country, hometown, rural feel. So I don't know that I necessarily agree with the characterization of the style of Elbert County homes. I had a question for you with regard to some of your layouts of your property. And as I was looking at the setbacks, I just wanted to clarify the way that the homes, or the way that you're envisioning it right now. I saw that there's less of a setback at the front of the house, but then a much bigger setback at the back of the house. And it was saying like garage to alley. So I just wanted to clarify, are these the type of, or are what you envisioning with garages on the back side of the house and folks are driving kind of like through people's backyards to get to their garages, or how exactly are you just envisioning that setup?
So oftentimes duplex units particularly have what they call an alley-loaded garage. So instead of the garage facing the main street, the garage faces an alley. So in that case, you would have oftentimes a different setback from the garage door to the alley, short enough to prevent cars from parking in the alley. So that's why in this case we're saying that it's about 3 feet. So you don't want people driving down the alley, pulling off at their garage door, blocking the alley and going inside and doing their thing. So when you have an alley-loaded garage, you typically try to leave an apron without allowing for parking.
Okay.
So that's why you have a garage facing the street. So you would have a driveway, right, when you face the street. And in that case, you oftentimes have a 15 or 20-foot setback because you want a car to be able to safely pull off of the street into the driveway, in 100% into the driveway. In an alley, you want to prevent people from parking in the alley.
Okay. And I guess when I was looking at the documents and the images, what I envisioned was that there was, a traditional street with the people's front yards and garages as well. But what you're saying is only the duplex sections that you're proposing are like garage to alley facing the street?
Again, we don't have a final product. We don't have a builder at this point. It's a rezoning. So the PUD doesn't require that it has a front-loaded garage towards the street or an alley-loaded garage towards an alley. Conceptually, we're looking at most of these being front-loaded. However, a builder could come in and choose a different type of product, and the PUD would allow for that different type of product within the setbacks that the PUD sets.
Okay. All right. So it could be all of them, but it might not be all of them, and it could just be a mix.
Yeah, and again, as a PUD and as a zoning document, we tried to say, here are the types of building product that we see in the market. Here are the types of building product that we know is out there and is desirable, and we wanted to make sure that we were providing a framework for those products to happen within the PUD.
Okay. All right. Thank you. And maybe just stay for a second, because I just wanted to clarify, we talked about the water situation before. I brought it up again quickly here, but I just want to make sure that I understand it clearly. The water will be taken, or there'll be an agreement with Spring Valley to get water for the houses that are in this development. And then the water rights that are with the land, those will be sold to Spring Valley, or who maintains the water rights that are there at the land?
So I'm going to glaze over it because it was reviewed by our water engineer in this response to comments from last time, which was in your packet, number 2.
But I just want to clarify.
Yes. So the water will be, and I want to make sure that I say it properly. The completed and accepted water and sewer will be what's the word they use? Sorry, give me a second. The water rights would be conveyed to the developer if a developer was to purchase it, and then the developer would then convey those to Spring Valley Metro District. So it's not a sale, it's a conveyance. It's very similar to like how right-of-way is dedicated, but for water rights.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure that they stay with whoever is going to be providing the water service to those homes. Like, for example, they're not going to continue to be owned by someone who's trucking water out.
No. When Spring Valley turns on the water to serve the homes, they will have control of the water rights.
Okay.
I guess is the easiest way to say it, maybe.
Okay, that's helpful. Thank you. I was interested. I read the sheriff's concerns, and I think one of the things that they said, and I think on our matrix, it seemed like the the issues related to the sheriff's department were resolved or had a green box. But I noticed that they actually note that they have concerns. And they say our main concern is traffic and who pays for the improvements, such as the traffic circles. We will also probably need additional staffing upon final build out due to population increases. So I just didn't really feel like that was something that we really addressed, and was hoping that we could spend some more time talking about the concerns that the sheriff's office had.
Sure. So the traffic issues are handled through Public Works and through the traffic study, right? So that was a sort of a comment about who pays for that, but that's worked out through the subdivision improvement agreement and things like that. With full build-out, that is a common comment that we get from the sheriff's office, right? That at full build-out, that increases demand for their services, of course. That is not something that does take time to do that, and there are impact fees that are paid by developers to cover additional public service costs.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't see anything about impact fees, or that, that was something that was discussed that resolved the concern of the sheriff's office. So are you saying that there were discussions, or there are ongoing discussions about that?
So I'm saying that those things are those are always the fact, right? That impact fees are collected, and that covers it covers obviously the impact, right, of additional development.
Let's be clear, impact fees don't cover additional resources over time.
Well,
I'm going to stop you just for one sec. I will say, and I've talked to the different departments, impact fees are for capital improvements, basically. They're not for staff. And so what Nicole has brought up by the sheriff's office is something else entirely. And I think we need to make sure that we either put that in as a condition of approval or make sure that that is going to be addressed. It's not a normal thing.
Oftentimes, I don't know Elbert County's mill levy list specifically, but oftentimes sheriffs and or fire departments are included in their mill levy. So there is a property mill levy that comes with each individual home tax that pays for those services. Again, I don't know what's on Elbert County's mills, so take that with a grain of salt, but I know that it's very common pretty much everywhere.
But again, this is a completely separate and distinct request. Yes, you're absolutely right about the mill levy, but that has nothing to do with what the sheriff is asking for. He's asking for funds for additional staff, and we do need to find a way to address that, and we can come back to it, but I think we need to do that before we finish this out today.
Isn't that a conversation between the sheriff and the Board of County Commissioners to adjust his budget accordingly to support his request for additional staff?
I don't know.
Not associated with the PUD?
Hang on, let's get back to Nicole's question. You made your point. I think that was good.
Thank you.
And the reason why I brought that up is it does get to one of the criteria, right? Criteria number 6, which is whether the proposed rezoning will not otherwise be detrimental to the health, safety, or welfare of future or present inhabitants of Elbert County.
May I ask the board how, and I recognize that this comment was specific to our application and that's why it's coming up here, but may I ask the board how you dealt with that additional need of sheriff's department resources with Spring Valley or with any of the other Elbert County East, Elbert County West, Morstead? How was that additional demand through the sheriff's department addressed with those developments? Do you know?
I don't know some of those that you mentioned because I wasn't on the committee, but we did hear recently from Independence, and they had to enter into an agreement. I believe it was for 6 months. It was like $180,000. But there was some type of an agreement that was met where there was some kind of financial exchange.
As the applicant, we were aware of the comment from the sheriff's department. Staff did pass that along to us. The requirements, there is nothing in the code that requires us to have any sort of financial agreement with the sheriff's department. It's a concern that, obviously it's just been brought up now. So we haven't considered how that would be addressed because, as I mentioned, oftentimes mill levies are what fund those resources for community-driven items like fire or
Okay.
roads, so.
Yeah, and sorry, can I just clarify one last thing? Did you say that you did not know about the sheriff's?
No, we were aware of
You
the
did.
comment.
Okay,
Staff
thanks. I just
passed it
wanted to
along.
clarify. Okay,
Yes.
thanks. Okay, so the next, I guess, major thing I just wanted to discuss is we mentioned briefly that there's about 9,000 entitled homes that have been approved in Elbert County. And I just wanted to ask the applicant if, they could give a reason or show a need for why more units are needed when we already have 9,000 approved entitled homes in our county approved.
So it is not my place to say what, how do I phrase this? Give me a second. We believe that we have a good project that offers a housing option for folks who either are in the county currently or who want to be in the county. And just like any other item that goes out onto the market for services, we believe that we have a right to compete within the market just like anyone else. And as the criteria is set for the rezoning, we feel that we have met the criteria, and nowhere in code does it say that once you reach XYZ level, it will no longer be considered. So while I understand your question, I don't think it's my place to answer that.
Okay. And I would just say in response to that, Article 7F1 of the zoning regs requires that the PUD rezone conform to and be generally consistent with the goals of the county comprehensive plan.
And your goals very clearly state that more housing is needed.
Excuse me.
Please don't interrupt.
I'm sorry.
And our comprehensive plan relies on county guiding documents, including the 2022 Housing Needs Assessment, which projects that we will need an additional 3,047 homes over 10 years, which would be until 2032. So I'd like to take that into account. And as I'm looking at the criteria, I see here that this is not consistent with what our criteria 1 is for the zoning regulations. Thank you. No further questions.
May I respond?
No.
Okay.
I mean, it's just a statement.
I want to come back to the noticing thing. Jen, do you remember the two that we did continue? Do you know if CDS provided updates to those signs? I know we talked about it's not in the regs, but I'm wondering if in the past,
The two that we did continue, I don't know.
the Goodman and the it was on April Fool's Day. You should remember
I
this.
can't say. Sometimes applicants choose to
Okay.
put new dates on there. Again, I agree that that's preferred. I have worked with the applicants in the last day or two, and they would be doing full new notice for BOCC. But I think there is evidence that the PC was noticed properly.
Why would we be doing that for the BOCC? Why is that being renoticed? I think that's what you said.
Because the sign was down before the BOCC hearing where it was continued, but it was up for the PC hearing.
Okay. Maybe just make a note, because I think we should come back to clarifying that in the future if we get more continuances, because we do want to make sure the public is notified. So going back to, you all reshuffled the lots, or the 100-acre, how many acres do we have? Thank you. So you did a new deed, I'm assuming, for the 112, whereas before there were multiple deeds. Because that wasn't in our packet, so I don't know what it would say.
So at our board meeting in July, the property was made up of 6 lots. So it was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Sorry, I recognize I don't have anything to point at, so I apologize. That was all updated. All 6 of those lot lines were addressed and updated. So now you have 4 35-acre parcels to the north, which are not part of this rezoning packet, and one parcel that's comprised of 112 acres that is this zoning packet. So you went from 6 lots in a somewhat irregular formation to 5 lots where only 1 is being rezoned. Does that
Okay.
make sense?
Yeah, I understood that. So, so we have a new legal description for the PUD parcel.
And yes, and that
With
was
the different
updated on the
boundaries.
cover of the
Okay.
PUD document, as well as the parcel numbers and acreage were updated in the PUD exhibit.
Okay.
And those were part of your packet tonight.
Okay, so that makes me come back to notification. So the original notification in the ranch land would not have had, it requires the legal description of the parcel boundaries. So when this was noticed, the property hadn't been rezoned, so it would not have been noticed with, hold on 1 sec, I'm going to let you speak. It wouldn't be noticed with what we're hearing tonight. So my question to CDS between this and the sign, is this meeting properly noticed?
So I would say that the notice that was done for the July 1st meeting and the description of the properties at the July 1st meeting were the same. So that has been since changed. I believe it notes that it was recorded on the 22nd of July or something like that. So that updated legal description would be reflected in future noticing for future meetings. But the boundary, the property itself, it's the same piece of land, just to clarify.
It has a completely different legal description.
It does, correct.
So it's not the same piece of land because you had that 70 thing in the middle.
So, just out of curiosity, will it change your calculus on how you rate this case or judge this case?
I don't know the answer to that, but my question is, if it's not properly noticed with the correct property description, is the meeting legally noticed? I don't think it is, but it's not my decision. And Jen, honestly, I didn't hear a direct answer as to whether this meeting with these changes, because the first packet was not complete and it was continued, is this a properly noticed meeting?
Let me ask the question to the applicant in a different way. So are we changing the 112 acres at all from the last time we met to this?
Per the deed of trust, the 112 acres that were comprised in the rezoning in the July 1st meeting was based off of 3 properties, and at tonight's hearing, based on the recorded deed of trust, it is now 1 property.
But it's still 112 acres.
It is still 112
We're
acres.
not changing the format or the shape? Or
Yeah,
the-
No,
yes.
sir.
Sorry, Chair. The exterior boundary lines have not changed?
So
Your legals have
see
changed, right?
the thick black box on the exhibit?
Yeah, exterior boundary
That
lines.
thick black box has not moved 1
Thank you.
inch since our July 1st meeting. The property lines underneath that thick black box have been adjusted.
So the deed has a different, the deed that is recorded now for the 112 has a different legal description, because if I remember
The
correct,
deed was legally recorded, yes.
Yes.
the new...
Did we
the-
change the foundation for the actual plan based on changing the deed?
We changed, no, sir.
We didn't change the boundaries.
Yes,
We didn't change the shape.
we have
And
a...
I think we're still good. I think we're still legally.
Okay, I'm not...
in boundaries. I keep turning it off and on because I'm touching it, I think. Yeah, as I'm looking at this, I was hopeful when the sign came down that y'all were rethinking your strategy. But I hear what you've done, and I think that sign should still be up. So I agree on the principle that the sign should still be up, and it should be noticed and the date changed to reflect the Board of County Commissioners meeting change, because I think that changed. But I don't think that fundamentally we've changed the structure of the property. It was just the deed.
Can I...
It's legally recorded.
Can I respond? The black box is not the legal boundary description for the project. So while correct me if I'm wrong, while it's still 112 acres, when this came to us originally, it included that thing in the middle. There was 70 acres. So the way the deeds were written is not before you re-recorded it and changed it. The legal description changed.
Okay, so that being said, you've made your point. I appreciate that. Do you have other points to make?
I do.
Please go forward. with
Okay.
other points.
Water. So Nicole covered that, but when I look at, and this kind of comes back again to the redoing the properties and such, the boundaries, the deeds, whatever. So when I look at the water letter from Dower, which was dated June 5th, on the second page, it talks about, the property had been that whole 200 and whatever acres it was, that there was a certain amount of water that had been adjudicated. It went before the water court. There's a number in here. But it goes on to talk about, let's see, previous deeds, that there were, it looked like, transfers of water. So I guess my question is, it says, however, the deeds previously provided appear to have transferred a proportional amount of the groundwater. So when that whole property, the 435s at the top and then the 112 for the PUD, when that was done, did the water deeds get redone?
We have confirmed with the state and the court records that the water that we are providing to meet the 300-year requirement is being met.
Do you know that you have water deeds and that they have recorded numbers? Because it's very confusing to me because they were tied to certain parcels.
Hello, Commissioners. I'm David Quattrochi. I'm one of the principals in the project. To answer your question, yes, the deeds have all been updated and corrected. We allocated 4 acre-feet per 35-acre parcel, which was deducted from the entirety. I hope that answers your question.
So there are new
There's new deeds.
water deeds
Yes.
recorded. Okay.
Recorded, yes.
Okay. That was I probably could have made that shorter. Thank you.
Sure.
I have some comments on the criteria, but I wasn't sure if that's something that we're going to circle back to here.
You can make those comments on the criteria when we do the voting.
Okay.
We'll go ahead and do that. Is that,
That's it. Thank you.
okay, John? Okay, Dee Dee? Fantastic.
Chair,
I,
sorry, may I ask one more question?
Sure.
Just for the environmental aspect of it, CPW came with some conversation. How are you guys mitigating what they're requesting on your open space and trails? Because as of right now, your open space and trails mainly involves the 2 ravines on the west and east side of your parcels. So I just would like to know how you guys are going to mitigate per their request.
I'm sorry, could you say the question again? I didn't hear the first part.
Yeah, so CPW responded. They had some issues with wildlife migration and paths through your guys' proposed PUD. How was your response to that, and how do you propose to mitigate what their issues are?
To be honest with you, I don't know if I saw the CPW comments. I would have to go back in my files and look at that. I do think that wildlife corridors are very important. As the map shows, we are keeping both of the floodplain and floodways open. I think that, again, as this is a rezoning, there are certainly ways to modify the conceptual layout of the subdivision as we move forward to address those comments better. But at a rezoning,
I mean, it was part of a rezoning, comment from CPW.
yeah, and we'll work with the civil engineer to make sure that gets addressed.
Okay, so
As we move
as of
forward.
right now, as part of the rezoning requirement, that for the environment, the comments from CPW have not been addressed or responded to. Not saying that staff hasn't agreed that they are, but they definitely had comments.
To be honest with you, I'm just trying to think if I even saw the CPW staff off the top of my head. I don't remember. We've been working through this project for about 18 months, so I would have to go back in my files and look.
Okay.
So I apologize for not being able to answer your question more cleanly.
Thank you.
Thank you. I have one question for you and one question for David. Gentlemen, on the end there, I don't know your name, but you might want to respond to it as well. My first question is, did you acquire the traffic studies from Spring Valley as part of this, or did you do your own traffic studies?
We engaged LCS Traffic Transportation, who does a lot of traffic studies in the county, and we worked with them. I can't speak specifically to their methodology. I'm not a traffic engineer, but I know that we worked with LCS.
I'm not looking for, the methodology. What I'm looking for is, did you acquire it from the Spring Valley? Because I looked at the dates. Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. And then my last question, and this is for David. Your name? Sorry, sir. If you don't mind to come to the mic real quick. So we've been introduced to David. It's your turn.
Yes, my name's Dan Conway, and I'm the president of THK Associates, and I head up our market feasibility group. I would like to respond to Commissioner Hunt's.
I'm asking questions here, so you've already, she's already asked and answered the questions that she's gotten. So the question I have for you is, and for David is, are you planning on building this out yourself, or are you going to sell this property?
I think from a market feasibility standpoint, I would say it's going to be sold to builders that specialize in the type of product that it's been planned for.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think that's appropriate. I mean, we have the option of doing that. It is not my forte. Builders in that area would probably be engaged to do that.
Fantastic. Thank you both. I appreciate it. I have no more questions.
Okay, thank you.
With that, I'd entertain a motion.
Yeah, Chair, I'd like to make a motion.
Please.
Move that the Planning Commission make a recommendation of denial to the Board of County Commissioners for case PUD-2024-0258 based on the following reasons. Give me 1 second. Per the Elbert County zoning regulations, Article 7F, number 4, regarding environmental, and number 6, and regarding the welfare of the county.
Thank you. Any additions to that? I think I heard a couple other comments on that.
I don't know if my colleagues would like to add this, but I do believe that the land use application also fails to meet criteria 1 of the zoning regulations, which requires that the PUD conform to and be generally consistent with the goals of the Elbert County Comprehensive Plan. And the comprehensive plan relies on county guiding documents, including the 2022 Housing Needs Assessment, which projects about 3,047 additional homes over 10 years. And we already exceeded that up to around 9,000 entitled homes. And so adding another 237 is not needed. And it overshoots our own projected needs. And therefore, it doesn't align with our comprehensive plan and fails to meet criteria 1.
Would you like to add that?
Would amend my motion to add that.
There we go. Okay. I'm going to follow up on what Nicole said about criteria and what I noticed in. Yes, I can. The the ones that I want to add, and this is, again, for the first, saying it's consistent, it doesn't, there's multiple, well, there's several in the comprehensive plan that don't even seem to have been addressed. Did you want me to add? Because there are additional things that didn't. So you don't want any specifics? Can I talk then about the compatibility with the surrounding land uses?
I think that's also been asked and answered, so.
I don't believe it has been.
Okay.
So again, this is the criteria whether the proposed rezoning is compatible with surrounding land uses. And my comment would be it's not based upon the size of the properties in the area. It's not just the zoning, but it's actually the acreage. And this project does not fit with the surrounding areas.
Okay. You want to add that?
No, I do not want to add that, as I do feel that that criteria has been met.
Okay. So I think we should restate, if you don't mind.
Yeah, the recommendation of denial is based on the Elbert County zoning regulations, Article 7F, number 1, number 4, and number 6.
Thank you. Do we have a second? So Dee Dee is a second. Roll call vote.
Roll call vote. Dee Dee Schott Grace. I don't believe you're on.
So do you realize, Dee Dee, it's a vote for denial? Thank you.
Commissioner Schott Grace, I'm sorry, but your microphone is not on.
Not a light to be seen. Yeah, he's.
Just give her mine so we can.
Okay, so I'm voting for the denial. And my biggest reason is 2,400 cars a day on that road is a no-go. I drive it every single day when I come out here, and it's already getting terrible. It's very dangerous right now. And I think that it's just unheard of that you're going to put 2,400 more cars on that road.
John Gresham.
I'm going to vote nay to the motion. I believe that the applicant has met the requirements for the PUD. Some of these questions are for the next step, so I vote nay.
Nicole Hunt.
Aye.
Kyle Gennardo.
Aye.
Dan McCallan.
You got to turn.
Aye.
Diana Edstrom.
I vote aye, and I did want to add a couple of things real quick. So in the criteria, the first one, I don't believe that it complies with the water quality, with RD2, which is rural, keeping the rural character, and developments should be within the 3-mile service and/or influence areas in county towns, and this is farther than 3 miles from any of our towns. Noxious weeds, the noxious weed in the comprehensive plan was not addressed. Wildlife, which Kyle brought up, public safety, which has to do with the sheriffs, and then, of course, it's not compatible with the surrounding land uses, which is the second one. And just for the record, the packet is not complete. We have not received all the required documents per the county zoning regulations. Thank you.
Robert Polite?
Nay, I believe they've met the requirements for the PUD rezone only, and other subjects are needing to be adjudicated at a later time.
Kevin Kirkwood?
I vote aye for reasons 1, 4, 6. Compatibility, traffic, safety concerns in that area. I was hopeful that y'all would rethink your strategy. When I saw the signs come down, I said that earlier. I think there's good use for that land. I think it's a beautiful property. And so I agree with the motion of denial.
Thank you, Commissioners. We have 6 aye and 2 nay.
Sorry, I think I said all of that without the microphone. Did y'all hear it? Okay, so we closed the Coyote Ridge, opening the public hearing for the Prairie Rock Ranch rezone, and looking for staff report, staff presentation.
All right.
Oh, yes. Before we start, Diana has a disclosure she'd like to make.
I just wanted to make everyone aware that I know Grace Erickson in a professional function. I'm not recusing myself because I know I can still make a fair and reasonable decision based upon the evidence.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you.
All right. Good evening, Planning Commissioners. Tonight, my presentation will be for the Prairie Rock rezone application. My name is Danny Klebanner, and I'm a land use planner here with Elbert County Community and Development Services. The case number for this is RZ 2025-0005. So a little summary here. The site is located generally at the northwest corner of County Road 106 and Judge Adams Road. The site size is 38 acres. Currently, the zoning is agriculture. The applicant is Bruce Ricci with Prairie Rock Ranch Limited Partnership, and the applicant representative here today is Grace Erickson. And the request is a rezone from agriculture to residential agriculture, RA. Here's a look at most of the county, and you can see that little blue circle. We'll zoom in, but it's roughly 7 miles directly south of Elizabeth and 4.5 miles northwest of Elbert as you're driving, or 3.5 miles northwest as the crow flies. Here we go, a little closer in for the property. This is the surrounding zoning map. Surrounding properties are zoned agriculture and range in size from 40 to 245 acres there to the south. That's the 245-acre property. Directly diagonally opposite to the southeast of the property are the closest residential agriculture zone properties, and those range in size from 20 to 28 acres. The closest 10-acre lots are the Atkinson subdivision, and those are zoned agriculture residential and about a mile to the east of the subject property. Here we go, look at an aerial map of the property. Again, it is a 38-acre property, zoned agriculture. It has historically been agriculture ranch lands with no structures on the property.
There is no floodplain on the property, and there are 2 small wetlands on the property, a seasonally wet pond and a little gulch there on the northeast corner. Yep. All right, here's another look. Currently, there's no wells, driveways, or any other structures on the property. You can see the little rock outcropping there on the western side of the property and that gulch on the east. So again, ranch lands with no existing structures, about 7 miles south of Elizabeth, 4 miles northwest of Elbert. Again, 2 small wetlands and no floodplains. This is located right at the corner of County Road 106 and Judge Adams Road, so we all know where we're looking. This project started back in February of this year with a pre-application meeting, followed with a community meeting March 25th of 2025. There were 2 referral periods, the first in June and then the following one in July, to address a couple minor comments. Here we are today for the Planning Commission meeting, August 19th, and there is a Board of County Commissioners meeting scheduled for September 10th of 2025. Mailed notice was sent to the surrounding property owners within a quarter mile. Public notice signs were posted on the property and remain. Newspaper notification was posted in Ranchland News July 31st. All notice requirements have been met per Elbert County zoning regulations. Here's a look at some of the agencies that were sent referrals, and many of these agencies responded with comments. There are no outstanding comments. All comments have been addressed. All right, during the community meeting and public comment, technically there was 1 resident because it was the former owner of the property, so I was at the meeting as well. I don't know if I'd consider it an additional resident, but there was that resident that wasn't part of the application team. And no public comments have been received to date, no email, correspondence, or other comments during the community meeting. So, for all Elbert County zoning requests, there are 6 criteria that are outlined from Article 3C4. On your screen, you'll see a summary of our review criteria, which you are used to judge applications. The first is whether the proposed rezoning conforms to and is generally consistent with the goals and policies of the Elbert County Comprehensive Plan. So one of our goals is residential development. Elbert County supports residential development by encouraging a range of lot sizes and residential densities associated with available roads and infrastructure, and by encouraging the designation of open space and the preservation of areas of visual, historic, and natural consequence. The proposed rezoning would allow for 10-acre minimum lot sizes, which would create a different range of lot sizes within the vicinity of the subject property. Surrounding properties are either zoned agriculture or residential agriculture. B, whether the proposed rezoning is compatible with surrounding land uses. Staff believes the proposed rezoning is compatible with surrounding land uses. There is a mix of larger agriculture with some residential agriculture that are smaller, a mix of agriculture and residential uses on properties in the area, and the proposed rezone would allow for residential agriculture development standards, which restricts minimum lot sizes to 10 acres. The purpose, again, of the residential agriculture context is to promote low to medium density residential development while preserving working agriculture lands. Non-commercial farming, open space ranching, and agriculturally related uses are allowed as primarily accessory to a residence. C, whether the proposed rezoning would adversely impact the provision of public services. Staff believes the proposed rezoning will not adversely impact the provision of public services. Kiowa Fire Protection District and Elbert County Office of Emergency Management had no objections to the application. Moving on to the final 3, D, whether the proposed rezoning would adversely impact the environment. This proposed rezoning will not adversely impact the environment. Building permit review and septic review for on-site wastewater treatment with public health can identify any site-specific factors upon development with buildings. E, whether the proposed rezoning would create unreasonable traffic congestion or burden the existing road system without improvements. The applicant did provide a traffic letter, and this proposed rezone will not create any unreasonable traffic. Elbert County Public Works has no objections, and the proposed rezoning would not create any burden on the existing road system without improvements. Finally, F, whether the proposed rezoning will not otherwise be detrimental to the health, safety, or welfare of the present or future inhabitants of Elbert County. This proposed rezoning will not be detrimental to the health, safety, or welfare of the present or future inhabitants of Elbert County. The development does conform well with the agriculture and residential agricultural mix in the area. So a few considerations for your decision today, no recommendation from me, but the surrounding zoning is agriculture with residential agriculture diagonally opposite. They're requesting to rezone for the purpose of future development with 10-acre lot minimums, and all referral agency comments have been addressed. Pretty standard potential conditions for approval. The first is removing the sign within 2 weeks. Language from our regulations. If they don't remove within 2 weeks of a Board of County Commissioner decision, it would be subject to reasonable charges for removal. The second would be that the rezone will not become effective until all fees are paid, conditions of approval are met, and the rezone exhibit is recorded. And then finally, all documentation concerning this rezone would have to be recorded within 180 days of Board of County Commissioner approval. So that wraps up this presentation for the Prairie Rock Ranch rezone RZ 2025-0005 with the Planning Commission here. The applicant is also here to share details about the project and answer any additional questions. I'm also available to answer any questions that you may have. Thank you.
Thanks, Danny. Would you like to present on the applicant's behalf?
Good evening, Commissioners. Grace Erickson, Providence Consulting Applicant Representative, and also present is Bruce Rickey, Prairie Rock Ranch owner and applicant. Danny gave a detailed overview of the proposed rezone. We are seeking to zone the property from agricultural to residential agricultural. I'm not going to reiterate his entire presentation, but the 2 points I'd like to emphasize are that, one, we believe the proposed rezone is compatible with the surrounding zoning and land uses. It provides for a logical transition. And two, we believe this application does meet all of Elbert County's criteria for rezone. Happy to answer any questions.
Thanks, Grace. With that, I'd like to open public testimony. And so if you would like to speak, please come forward, state your name, your address, and you'll have 5 minutes.
Okay, thank you. Pamela Steinman, 3643 County Road 106, Elizabeth. My husband and I own one of the 13 residences on the private roads, Judge Adams and Lonesome Rock. By purchasing the property, we understood that mutual covenants went with the land and that we agreed to comply with the rules of those covenants. The land that is being considered for rezoning was once a portion of the address 3619. The mutual covenants that go with the land at 3619 County Road 106 Elizabeth are recorded in Elbert County Clerk and Recorder's records in book number 281 at pages 282 and 283 and elsewhere. I have pulled two of the items from this document that pertain to this rezoning request. Quote, each single-family residence shall have a minimum of 30 acres, unquote. The second item, quote, these covenants are to run with the land and shall be binding on all parties and all persons claiming under them for a period of 10 years from the date these covenants are recorded, after which time said covenants shall be automatically extended for successive periods of 10 years unless modification documents agreeing to change said covenants in whole or in part have been signed by at least 3/4 of the title owners of said land and recorded in the office of the county clerk and recorder, Elbert County, Colorado. It would be in violation of the mutual covenants for the landowner to build 3 homes on the land in discussion, as it would need to be 90 acres, which it is not. To make a change to the mutual covenants, landowners must be involved, with at least 10 of the owners agreeing to change that portion of the mutual covenants. My understanding has always been that it was 1 vote per residence. My husband and I have lived on this property for over 20 years. We've attended all the homeowner meetings during that time. We have never voted on amending this portion of the mutual covenants. During the last 20 years, this issue of changing the covenants has never been raised at one of our meetings. The land that is the subject of this meeting is 38 acres with its southern boundary along County Road 106. Please refer to the map to see that the entire eastern boundary of this parcel of land is Judge Adams Road, the private road for which the mutual covenants apply. It appears to me that the new landowner seems to be asking you, county residents who do not live on the private roads of Judge Adams and Lonesome Rock, to negate our mutual covenants for the benefit of one landowner, instead of complying with the process required for amending said covenants. Are covenants binding? In 1978, District Court Judge John P. Gately handed down a decision on covenant enforcement for a civil lawsuit in Elbert County. In his ruling, Judge Gately stated that an action taken by the homeowner did not comply with restrictive covenants affecting the lot. The court ordered that the landowner, quote, vacate and remove the offending structure, namely a house trailer, unquote, and that the landowner was, quote, permanently enjoined from constructing any building or other structure on their lot without first complying with the restrictive covenants affecting said premises. Let me repeat that. Without first complying with the restrictive covenants affecting said premises. So in conclusion, I, Pamela Steinman, object to the request to rezone Prairie Rock Ranch for the purpose of building 3 houses on this 38-acre parcel of land because it violates the legally binding mutual covenants that come with this land. Thank you.
Thank you. Laura Dulce.
I'm not as fluent, sorry, I'm not as fluent as Pam, but I am a resident of the Judge Adams subdivision. Live at 3627 Lonesome Rock Road. Officially, it's County Road 106. And so oh, okay. Is that better? I'm trying not to let it scare me. So I live across the road and then down at the corner on Judge Adams Road in Lonesome Rock. I own 60 acres and run a horse operation there. And I'm retired, so only selling a few horses occasionally. But if you look at these properties, they're beautiful. I could see why anybody would like to live there because it's gorgeous properties. But at the same time, these are larger properties. You're looking between about 60 to 80 acres within Judge Adams. If you go down the road, which is 106 to County Road 2117, that's where you find 40 acres that was divided into approximately 10-acre lots. And it was quite a shock in an area that's primarily rural with larger ranches, and then the subdivisions are large enough to give us some room. And then to see this area divided into 4 sets of homes that are practically on top of each other. And so my feeling on this is that it does not resonate with the land and the rest of the residents in that area. It doesn't quite fit in, and taking this small pasture and turning it into, 3 separate homes is not really going to fit in with it. The other issue with this is traffic. Those homes will be right on 106. That's on a corner. We have the gravel trucks that come roaring through there, a lot of new residents that shortcut. They go quite fast. If they put the person's driveways on 106, I'm worried they'll get killed. If it's on Judge Adams, that's a private road. And so we would have to look at the covenants as far as that. So I would just request that you deny this rezoning. Thank you very much.
Thank you. That's all I have on my list. Would anybody else like to speak? Again, name, address.
My name's Jennifer Little. I live at 4195 County Road 106. And in 2023, I do believe that the northeast corner of that property did flood. So that it's not in a floodplain is a little bit of a surprise to me. The flood went through my backyard to get to that property.
Thank you. Anybody else like to speak? That being said, I will close the public testimony, and would the applicant like to respond?
Yes. So we do maintain that the rezone is compatible with the other properties that are also zoned with the same zoning. This is an application for rezone. We are aware of the document that was brought up. We had an attorney review it, and the attorney's opinion is that it is unenforceable with no legal effect. It is a civil matter, and it does not prohibit a rezone. So it does not apply to this rezone case. But there are other properties that are also zoned residential agricultural. And that's all I have.
Okay, thank you. With that, we will move on to board-only discussion. And we'll start on the right side this time. Dee Shot Grace, do you have any questions, comments? And is her microphone working yet? Hey, John, can you give her your mic? It's hardware, so we get the opportunity to be tested every time.
Yeah. Presidential press conference on this. I guess my question would be, how can there be a legal document that's recorded legally that then your attorney is saying that it's of no consequence. Those covenants are definitely of consequence.
I think a question for staff is, does the county review covenants before they get recorded?
Does the county review covenants?
Bless you.
The county, like planning staff or county
Anyone?
commissioners?
Yeah.
No, they do not. And it is the responsibility of any homeowner to abide by any covenants in the area. It is not staff's responsibility to review restrictive covenants.
Exactly, that's what I thought too. So, if there's a covenant and it is recorded, I think you need to get that, I don't know, Nicole would know better than me, but I think you need to get
So
that.
there's a reason why, there are multiple reasons why this attorney does not think that they are valid. One is legal description. There are also, I'm not an attorney, issues with the way that these were written and recorded. I believe it's probably pretty common that covenants get written and recorded, perhaps not to standard that make them unenforceable. But the legal description is one of the issues. Regardless, the covenants do not apply to rezone.
Okay, I don't have anything further.
I have no questions on just rezoning to AR.
Okay. Diana Edstrom. So, Danny, back to the covenants. Do we have the title documents? Were they submitted as part of the application?
Yes.
Okay. Is there anything in there that refers to the covenants? Because my understanding is if something like that exists, like an easement or anything, it should be found in a title search. So if you want to, if you would look while I'm talking. As far as the compatibility with the area, yes, this is going to be zoned RA, and there are other properties around, but there's a big difference in what the acreages are. It's not a matter of what the zoning type is. So the map, I know the map that Danny put up is pretty concentrated on where this property is, but if you were to pull back and look at that whole area, it is ag, it is large parcels. As was said, the parcel directly to the south is 244 acres. Below that is 780. And most of the other parcels around it are 40 plus. Now the RAs that were in the orange, the little triangular one that touches the edge, that's 28 acres. The other three are 20. That's a big difference between 10-acre lots and 20-acre lots. And the ones down the street on 106, I drive by there every day. So those are 10 acres, but they're not near this. And the character of this area is not 10-acre residential lots. I would also want to point out in the, can I talk about the review criteria now, or is that voting? Kevin? Oh, okay. So because of what I just said about the lot sizes in the criteria, that is B, whether it's compatible with the surrounding land uses. I do not believe that it is based on what is there. The first one, the first criteria, whether it conforms to and is generally consistent with the goals and policies. I did not see anything in here about forest and noxious weed management is one of the policies or the goals of the comprehensive plan. That does not seem to have been addressed. Wildlife, I saw in the package that, and I think it was in Ms. Erickson's comments in her referral matrix, which is an excellent matrix, and ask Jen to take a look at that if you would. But it was noted in there that CPW has concerns with this property and wildlife, and I don't see that being addressed. There is nothing in the regulations that says what comprehensive plan goals and policies apply to what type of application. So to, restrict them and say, well, this doesn't apply to zoning, there's nothing to support that. So I just wanted to throw that out there. I did not see anything on noxious weeds. Was there a referral made to the Kiowa?
Yes.
It wasn't in the packet.
Yes.
And what did they say?
Recently, they have not been giving us as many responses, so we take a no response as no concern.
Okay, so no, we don't have a response.
Yeah, so we have a referral to them, and yeah, we have as good as a response because they generally had been responding. They haven't responded recently, so I can't force anybody to respond.
Okay.
Per our regulations, that is no objection.
Yeah, which I'll just say I hope we can get that changed because that's, no answer is not a no problem. And for C, impacting provisions for public services, I didn't see a referral in for Elizabeth Schools. Did we send them one, and did they respond?
They did receive a referral. They did not respond.
Okay, this is really troubling because that is a public service. So yes, I understand the regulations say that no response means you don't have any issues, but I don't accept that as something to make a decision on. So based on C, whether it would impact provision of public services without a response from the school district, I would consider that that is not met. And Danny, just one more thing, and it was probably a typo. You had Kiowa Fire on here. And I think, was this in Kiowa Fire? I think it's Elizabeth Fire on the GIS map.
This is in Kiowa Fire. It is in Elizabeth. So I received a referral from Elizabeth. That's a typo. I apologize.
So is it? Okay, so yeah, if you could update that on the packet, that would be great. And that is all I have.
Hey there. A couple of comments. First, just to say, I wish that some of this discussion about covenants had been included in our packet, not just brought up on public comment, especially since the applicant apparently knew about this and kind of was prepared to discuss it further, because I think that might have been helpful to all of us as we prepared for this meeting today. That said, while I recognize that the county itself doesn't enforce covenants, I think there's probably some due diligence that should have been done to either try to amend or extinguish it, whether it's through the folks who are a part of this agreement or through the court. And the fact that you're coming to us asking for a rezone, knowing that there's still changes that need to potentially be done in order for this covenant to actually be proven to be able, like a subdivision or a rezone is not going to change whatever mutual covenants are on the property. And so it seems to me that these are things that probably should have been taken care of or at least addressed in good faith before coming to ask us to override or, to go ahead and rezone while these mutual covenants are recorded. With regard to the criteria, I will say that C or B is one of concern to me, compatibility of surrounding land use, and that is something I'm going to be taking into consideration. I'm not sure that this project is compatible. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
So historically, Danny, you mentioned that covenants are not assessed or, reviewed, prior to an application. In this case, in particular, because it is kind of a shot over the bow for us to, learn about this, would something like this necessarily, would we need to get counsel from Elbert County's attorney with regards to the, best practices in moving forward when it comes to applications that have covenants? Nicole, what do you think? I mean, in your mind, I mean, I would like to, get a bit of counsel before, before we move forward to make sure that we're not stepping into a delicate area.
I do think it would have been helpful to have something in writing from the attorney that applicant said that they reached out to, that at least said that he doesn't think that there is a.
Yeah. 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 And neither do I. This is just a little bit out of the norm, and being that there was good information relayed by the public comment with regards to the process and what has been recorded, I think that's something that we should take in consideration for either denying or some form of continuance based upon our own counsel. That's it.
Could I throw one more thing in? This is my opinion. This is obviously an issue that is unsettled. Just because one lawyer says this isn't enforceable doesn't mean that it isn't. But I think our responsibility also as part of the Planning Commission is to be aware of our residents and how they are impacted and the health, safety, and welfare. And if these residents have to go to court, which I don't know if they would do that, but if they have to spend money on legal fees to try and get this resolved, rather than maybe getting, however else, a mediator or whatever, but I would not feel comfortable either approving a rezone when there is something hanging there that could negatively impact our residents.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I think we've agreed a couple times here. So,
Yeah, Danny, what's the precedent set from the county? Has this come up before?
So generally, we try to help applicants understand covenants. And, for example, I had a variance recently, and they need an architectural review committee to also approve a variance. So I say, okay, the county can approve, but, that doesn't mean you're going to be approved by your architectural review committee. So really, we stay out of it generally, and it is the responsibility of homeowners to follow their covenants. It's not the county that enforces, or, it's not our job to, tell people what the covenants are.
Yeah, I'm torn. I think it's I do think it's a civil matter. But Grace, did your attorney put anything in writing regarding this?
Yes, they did, and we can supply a letter to Elbert County tomorrow.
Okay, it's something I wish that we probably would have been like to see prior to this as part of our packet.
Understood, but we maintain it's a civil matter and doesn't apply to rezone.
And that's where I'm torn. So,
but you're asking the Board of County Commissioners and the Planning Commission to override covenants and provide a legal precedent that sets outside of the covenants. So
I understand.
That's why it needs to be in the packet.
Okay.
That's all the questions I have.
From a practical standpoint, it seems like getting involved in a covenant discussion is very complex. Is it not on or not? Okay. I mean, it's very complex. It's almost like a can of worms. And I believe it is a civil issue. However, I think if it ever comes to a point where there's something compelling that requires a legal opinion,
it should be documented, and it should be submitted to our county attorney for the attorney's recommendation one way or the other. That said, you know, my concern with this is not the covenant, it's the compatibility.
Thank you, Dan. Road and Bridge didn't respond? I didn't see a check mark by them.
They did respond. Yeah, they had no concerns.
Really didn't see the check mark
There were,
on your document.
okay, they have responded, and I have a response from Road and Bridge of no concern.
This is a question for the applicant directly. Grace, you can answer, or the applicant can answer. What is the breakout of the property, you know, when you go into 10 or 12 acres per each? Is it for the family? Is it for the sale of the of lots?
Bruce Rickey. The idea was to develop the sites for 3 homes for families.
But not for your family, but for other families, so lots for sale?
Correct.
Okay, thank you. I think there's a couple different questions here that need to be answered. And I think the first one is, do we want to move to a continuance for a date certain for the paperwork to be submitted, the lawyer's response to be submitted, and a legal opinion addressed from Elbert County Law or Legal? Or do we want to make a motion? So let's start with the continuance. Is there a motion for continuance to a date certain, of course?
Yes, I'd like to move for a motion to review this on a date certain, based upon getting the additional information from the applicant and having enough time for county legal to review.
Okay.
And provide feedback to the Planning Commission.
Director, I see you hiding back there. When's a good date for us to go to a date certain?
It looks like the soonest option would be September 16th.
Is that something available to the applicant? Okay, next date.
October 7th.
Okay. Motion to the continuance for October 7th.
Second.
Roll call vote. Yeah, I think we did.
Roll call vote. Dee Dee Schott Grace. John Gresham. Microphone, please. Oh, it was nay.
Yes, nay, I'm sorry.
Nicole Hunt.
Correct, nay.
I'm going to say nay because I think that the Planning Commission should make a recommendation for denial based on failure to meet Article 3C4B, which is compatibility.
Kyle DiNardo.
Aye.
Dan McCowan.
Nay.
Diana Edstrom,
I'm a nay also for the same reasons. I think we should be voting to deny.
Robert Politic,
Aye.
Kevin Kirkwood,
Nay, and for the same reason.
3 aye, 5 nay.
Thank you. I will hear a motion now to deny. Somebody would like to make that note?
I will. I move that the Planning Commission makes the recommendation of denial to the Board of County Commissioners for case RZ 2025-0005, based on the fact that it fails to meet Article 3C4B criteria of the zoning regulations.
Do we have a second?
I second that.
Again, roll call vote.
Roll call vote. Dee Dee Schott-Grace. John Gresham. Nicole Hunt.
Aye.
Kyle DiNardo.
No.
Dan McCallan.
Aye.
Diana Edstrom.
Aye.
Robert Politic.
Aye.
Kevin Kirkwood.
Aye.
7 aye, 1 nay.
And that motion passes. We have a probably 10, 15-minute working session. So with that, we'll close the hearing for Prairie Rock Ranch rezone and begin. We want to take a 5-minute break to bio break and then come back in here at, we'll make it 7 minutes, 9:05. Diana, we need you. Was he taking notes, though, is the question. Okay, this actually could be just a bit shorter than the time I was requesting a minute ago. We do a quick community service PSA for the comprehensive plan.
Yes, sir, please. As you all know, the Comprehensive Plan Survey is active. It will be available online through 5 o'clock on September 5th. So as planning commissioners, expect all of you to fill it out. You have liaisons amongst you, your colleagues who are on the steering committee. But seriously, if you haven't, please fill out the survey, talk to your friends and neighbors, and encourage them to fill it out. It really is the best way at the moment to provide feedback from the community, and so we are certainly hoping to have a good turnout on that. So I just wanted to remind everyone about that. If you have comments that are beyond the survey, you're welcome to email those in, and we will get them to the consultants, and they will be considered as well. There will be more to come, but that's it for tonight.
Fantastic.
Hey, John, that'd make a great news article to put out about the survey. Yeah, I do.
It's one of the three people that read. Sorry. Ouch.
Well,
oh yeah, I forget.
yeah.
So yes, the other piece of business tonight is the Board of Commissioners Committee.
Code of conduct for boards and commissions in the county,
Okay,
correct?
wow, that's like a terrible title.
I'm not reading the exact title.
Yeah.
Sorry if I butchered it.
Kind of not it's running together in my head. So as I'm looking at this, I saw some things in there that kind of disturbed me a little bit. I do want us to get a copy, if we haven't gotten one, of the elements that they're going to hold us accountable for, up to and including Colorado Sunshine Laws, conflict of interest laws, any applicable Board of County Commissioner policies. This actually constitutes a policy, and legal requirements of due process. So there's a lot of stuff, and it sounds weird, but I'm going to be asking for documents. And so there's missing documents associated with the policy.
I look forward to telling the county attorney that.
Thank you, please. And then violations of the Code of Conduct may result in removal from any or all appointments in the discretion of the Board of County Commissioners. That one commissioner, two commissioners, and a majority. And so I would say it has to be a majority. I mean, some missing language in this that I would expect to see. So with that, I would have you take it home, read it, refresh your memory on Colorado Sunshine Laws, because that's always fun. And I don't think I'm ready to sign today. I don't know if anybody else is ready to sign. But I think it's an interesting doc and something that we do need to have in place.
I would just add that I too would like to have at least links to all of the applicable laws for which we need to know that we have to comply with. And I would also ask, have you had other committees or within the county sign this yet? And I'm thinking in particular the steering committee that was put together for the comp plan. Or are there plans to have each of those individuals also sign this?
I would assume that that's the intent. I will be clear that this isn't my document. I was simply asked to bring it
your name down on it.
provide
So
it
is your
to you all
document now.
tonight.
And the reason why I brought that up, because I know it says that it's the code of conduct for appointed boards and commissions, but in the first whereas clause, it actually says that the BOCC desires for board appointees to county boards, commissions, and committees to maintain the uniform standard. So I would hope that this would apply to steering committee for the comp plan as well.
Yep. That being said, any other comments, questions, concerns? Go ahead, Dan.
Working on the tree preservation potential regulation. Like, we have a draft. And I asked her, if we could get it in front of this committee, and she said she thinks that you're putting a subcommittee on regulations together
There is a subcommittee on regulations coming forward.
from this committee.
And there's also probably going to be another working group, yes. Because it's a subcommittee, it's only 2 members of this and 1 member of the Board of County Commissioners. Okay, and part of that is to understand and correct the document question, right, that we keep having. How many documents, what's required, those kind of things. That will be step 1. Step 2 of this will be to present elements associated with other changes that need to be made to the regs. And I think that's going to be coming to a broader working group where everybody can participate. And that's where I would have you present, you and Nicole present that it makes sense that we all see it, all react to it. And,
Sure.
And I don't know, going back to the director, when the next working group session is, but I'm pretty sure nobody's going to sit around and read it tonight.
Okay, but just to be certain, we have a draft ready for discussion and consideration.
I would submit it today. So if you've got a draft ready, submit it to Director, what is your last name, Jones? Okay, wow. Director Jen over here. And, let's get that in the process now. Have her review it, have the county attorney review it. And I'm sure that the Board of County Commissioners would love to see that. But then we bring it back to this group for a review and vote.
I want to thank Nicole for her assistance and her friends' assistance.
I know, I was just, he wasn't on the.
Did you steal my tree?
I know, I was just like, Kyle wants to do this too.
I'm all for it.
Fantastic. Any other comments, questions? I would entertain a motion to retire for the evening.
I move that we adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? I have a gun.